Hello, everyone. Today is April 17th, 2024. This is Kubernetes Data Protection Working Group meeting. Today, we just go over some of the updates. And I do have one thing that I'd like to discuss. So first, CPT status. So we have this merged. And the cap, I believe it's still working, review in progress, right? Ivan said he couldn't join today.
Yeah, it's still pending.
Okay. Ben, did you get a chance to take another look?
I have not had a chance to look all the way through it again, and I don't know when I will. It was fine last time I looked at it.
Okay.
So I assume I have no feedback.
Okay, so I will also pin Michelle again to take a look. There's one question I think someone was asking me. Now in the cap or anywhere, did we discuss how we use this? Let's say how do we use this for backup and restore, like the overall flow? I know we just talked about this.
Yes, we did.
Right? Is that in the cap somewhere?
Yes.
Oh, that'll be good. Where is that? Somehow.
I think there's a user's. Let me see.
See here? Okay, should be here. Right? This is the. All right, let's see. Or maybe I'll just make this. Okay, so where?
Check the user stories and
users here.
Yeah, but again, in a while, I don't remember exactly.
Oh, okay. All right, user stories. The user story, okay, incremental, creatable, all right. Queries to identify changes. Okay. Snapshot the source, create a new PVC mounted with, okay.
I think that should cover it.
Okay, I see. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, user story, so that's down. This one actually. All right, sounds good. Okay, so I want to talk about this one. Now, so Ben, I remember I actually brought this up before. I thought we might need to make some changes in the CSI spec, but I think we do not need it.
What is the dish that I brought up?
Oh, this is okay. So this is the volume group snapshot. How do you restore from it? Because we don't have a way to restore the whole thing in one step, right? We don't have such an API. We don't have the volume group API. So how do you make sure the snapshots that you got are in the right order? So I mean, basically, how do you know which PVC is corresponding to a snapshot? Basically, that's what this one is about. Because we are not really.
I don't think I brought this one up, but I do recall.
Oh no, not you brought this up. This was somebody else opened this issue. But I remember I brought this up in this meeting before. I also talked to you about this, like how to address. I thought initially we will have to change the CSS spec, but actually we do not, because basically we need to know how to make the association between the PVC and the volume snapshot that we're getting out of this. So initially I thought we don't have this information in the CSS spec, but actually when we return the snapshots, right? the snapshot message itself actually has the source volume ID. So we don't really need anything other than that. So just
But
based
you
on
mean
that.
the volume group API returns like an array of snapshots, and each one has associated ID. So even if the order was off, we could figure it out on the client side, which one is which.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't need.
Okay.
We don't need.
Yeah, because we were talking about a workaround that was based on relying on the
you
order.
Have to
exactly
like
right.
whoever implement this will have to make sure it's in the right order, right? We were saying they have to.
But now we're sure we don't need that.
That's not, yeah. So, oh no,
Okay.
right now they still need to do that, but we still need to make some changes in the external snapshotter, but we do not have to change the CSS spec now, which is good. We still need to, because right now it's still not obvious, right? So we do have that IDs, but when the user sees, this is like when you return this from the CSS spec side, right? But we still want to make sure user can just look at the the volume group snapshot, look at whatever is returned there, and then find out how to make the association. So I have this thing. I have some proposed changes. Yeah.
But existing CSI plugins don't need to change at all, right? They just, if they implement the existing spec, then they can continue to do that.
Right. Yeah. But we don't really have a CSI driver that implemented this yet, right? So
we don't even have experimental ones.
No, I mean, yeah, we do have we do have host path driver. Yeah, we do have that one. And then
but those aren't real snapshots. No, we need like some real
right.
that really do group snapshots to test this out. And in particular, I'm trying to think about how would you know if someone got it wrong, right? Like what would the test look like? You would want to create multiple volumes with different data, group snapshot them, then take those snapshots, convert those back to volumes, and verify that like the right volume got into the right new volume, right?
Yeah, that's kind of hard to.
So if someone screws up the order, you can test would detect that.
So yeah, so if we do it this way, then because they will have, we are not going to do the restore for them. The user will be doing restore. They'll be doing like one. They can only restore one PVC at a time. They can't. We don't really provide an API to restore together, right? So we just need to provide the information.
I'm a big believer in test-driven development, because if you write the test that does this end to end, that's sort of proof by example that it's possible to do the workflow end to end. If there was anything missing,
that would be like
you would find out while you're writing the test, right?
That will be our E2E test, right? I'm just saying that's not like
yeah.
We should have E2E test that covers that, right? So
yes.
Just add. Can add.
But we should make sure the E2E test validates that. Like, I don't know how we could make it likely that a driver that didn't conform would I guess if we intentionally create the new volumes from the snapshots in an order that's different from the order that they were supplied to the group snapshot API, that would increase the probability that a buggy driver would.
I'm sorry.
You would notice that it was buggy.
I'm sorry, saying that again. You're saying it's possible some driver made a mistake. They are returning the wrong combination.
I'm saying if I was writing this test, I would perform the snapshot clones in an order that was different than the order that it was passed into the group snapshot create API to intentionally scramble the order so that buggy drivers that didn't return correct information would be more likely to fail that test. That's just a thought off the top of my head. And it would be, I think, instructive to go through the process of actually creating the group snapshot and then cloning all the resulting snapshots, because that will be the proof that there is enough information to do the right thing on the API side. Like I think today that information doesn't exist, right? Like you actually couldn't write that test without the API change that exposes which snapshot maps to which volume.
Well, they basically have to return the right thing when they return that in the CSI.
Right, but do we have the plumbing on the Kubernetes side and the sidecar to expose the mapping through the API?
That's the change that I'm talking about, right? We need to we need to make
so
this change.
without that change, you could not write this test.
Right. Yeah. Right now we cannot. Right now because we are like have to do this workaround, right? But this is the change that I'm proposing basically. So so basically instead of so instead of just returning this, right now it's just returning this volume snapshot ref in the volume group snapshot status. So instead of that, we will return this pair, which is, so you will have a persistent volume claim ref and then volume snapshot ref. So it's a pair. It's a list of the pairs. Yeah, so this way user will be easier for user to just see, right? It's right there. So they should not make the mistake, right? They know what to look for when someone is using this. This is someone is using it. Yeah. And then for the volume snapshot content.
Now, does the ref point back to the PVC or the PV?
This is so there are two things, right? This is the user facing. This is PVC and volume snapshot. This is in volume group snapshot status, but we also have the volume group snapshot content, right? Volume group snapshot content status. So here we want to pair the PV name with volume groups snapshot content name.
No, yeah. I'm just trying to think through how this could go wrong. I don't see any holes in it.
Yeah, it's just when we were doing this pairing, we need to kind of, because we don't want to spend too much time searching it, so that's need a little bit of optimization just to try to make it a little faster. That's the thing. Otherwise, you should get it right. I mean, this, if you screw this up, then we should be able to detect this early. And we fix it, and it should be right. It's not like something this will only work once and not other times, right? So basically, this is, of course, depending on the driver side the CSI driver got it right, but they have to, when they form that snapshot message, they have to got that right, the volume ID, snapshot ID.
My line of thinking was like the layer that's even above this, something that's trying to do some sort of application management. It's creating a bunch of volumes and creating a bunch of snapshots of those volumes. If the PVCs were to get deleted, but the snapshots were to hang around, then
right. So those are
references to
so
PVCs that are gone.
those are already, I mean, so CSI driver would already have, like, for example, like for us, we don't allow that, right? It's just this is just a gap. I mean, different sort of system behave differently. So we actually prevent that PVC from being deleted if there are snapshots, right? Unless if someone want to do some, if they really want to get rid of it, they always have some way to screw it up. But we do have a way to try to prevent that from happening, right? So if you're saying if a CSI driver, well, even if that is deleted, let's say if this is like, for example, GCPD driver, they are fine, they can delete them, right? Even that is okay. There is this ref here, so you know which YAML you're looking for, right? The user will know. So that's should not be a problem, right?
Right. Yeah, my thinking is
the problem?
Is that if a higher level application cared about these mappings, it would need to basically extract them while the PVC still existed.
They always have to. They always have to do that, right? Otherwise, when you do the restore, they can't just go, try to find that again, right? So that problem should exist even without group snapshot, right? Because even for individual snapshot, the same thing, right?
Right. I mean, higher level data management applications have to maintain their own databases and mappings of things to other things, and so in this group snapshot case, part of the workflow will have to be, okay, here's a bunch of volumes, I'm snapshotting them. Okay, the snapshot got done. Now I have to go collect the mappings of the volumes to the snapshots and write them to my database. And so as long as you do that immediately after the snapshot's created, you're fine, right? Then you don't care about if the PVCs are still around at the time you have to restore them, because you have all the data you need at your higher level. So yeah, it sounds great.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so we'll have those changes made soon. All right, so that's good. Okay.
Who picks the names of the individual volume snapshots in a group snapshot?
That's automatic right now. There's like there's a timestamp. It's like there's a timestamp. It has a timestamp, and then it has some IDs. I need to check exactly what they are. So there's some identification plus a timestamp to differentiate them.
Okay, but like, it's not impossible for those generated names to conflict with some other snapshot that already exists on the system, right?
I think it is possible. I think in that case, I believe there is a logic there too. Then we'll change that to something else. I have to check.
Okay, yeah. So there's like a guaranteed unique name that will generate something and then test if it's already there, and if it is, pick a new name until it finds one that's not currently in use. So it's effectively a randomly generated name that you can extract back out.
Yeah.
But it's just a little bit prettier than that. Okay. I wonder if anyone's going to ask if the application could name the snapshots, or the user of the API could name the snapshots, or specify some sort of a name template they want to be used.
Yeah, we have not got those requests yet, but I guess that's probably possible. If someone want that, maybe we can see how to do that.
I suspect someone will eventually ask, because as I'm thinking about how this will be consumed, it's going to be consumed probably by data management applications, and just for their own sanity, they're going to want to have some control over snapshot names.
So in that case, they probably just want some prefix, because
maybe
if they want to provide snapshot for each one of them, that's kind of a little bit too much. Each one.
Not necessarily. I mean, that might actually be the simplest thing to implement, is just you provide a list of names, snapshot names, to the group snapshot request. I mean, it's more data to input, but requires less logic to handle. If it's some sort of template, then you got to figure out, okay, how do you expand the template? How do you document the way the template works? It's probably more confusing than just offering a way to say, you know what, if you care about what the names are, specify them in the input.
Yeah, if that's the case, that they also have to know, they have to provide like which snapshot is corresponding to which PVC, right? So it has to be like some kind of it's like have to be some kind of pairing like this. Otherwise, you don't know which one is which.
But for an application that's consuming this API, like that would be trivial to do, right? It'll just generate its own snapshot names, however it normally does that.
Yeah, then we probably need to change our API if there is such a requirement.
I think it's worth thinking about.
Yeah.
And incidentally, that would also solve the problem of the mapping, right? If the user specifies it on input, then you don't need to specify anything on the output, because you were told which snapshot name corresponds to which PVC name.
Right.
And all you have to do is fulfill that.
That's going to be an optional feature, right? So I think we will still have to make sure those mappings are correct ourselves. I don't think we can make that like a required, you must provide your snapshot names.
We could put the snapshot names in the spec part of the object and make them optional, but if the user doesn't specify them, we could fill them out. I mean, this is similar to how you create a PVC, the volume name field of the spec is initially blank, and the controller fills it out for you once it binds the PV to the PVC. So you could have a similar situation where, you know, we actually provide, instead of putting it all in the status, you could put it in the spec, And then if the user fills it out, we just use their names. And if they don't fill it out, we fill it out for them. And then it'll only be in one place in the API object. And it would give people the power to choose the names of their snapshots if they wanted. I don't know. It's probably a lot of work to change the API object, but if we're aiming for the ideal case, I'm sure that someone will eventually say, hey, I'd like to control the names of these things. And this seems like the easiest way to just to say, okay, fill out the names you want, right? And then we don't have to have any complicated logic or any complicated documentation. Just be like, put in the list of names. We're going to name the snapshots what you asked us to. Are you talking because you're on mute? If you are, I don't hear anything.
Oh no, I was just typing, just trying to add
okay.
this one as some ideas.
Okay, yeah, I'm just kind of brainstorming as I try to think through how this is going to be used.
I guess the only problem I was thinking this way, if we put them in the spec, is if you found out the given name is already taken, then then how you're changing the spec or what? That's a little weird. That's the part that I think maybe a little weird.
Well, no, if the user filled out a field with a snapshot name that was already in use, it would just be a straightforward error, right? Be like, oh, well, okay, so hey, how do you reconcile that?
Yeah, that's a problem, right? So then they have to what? They have to delete that and then try again, because otherwise we'll be retrying and.
Well, no, it's worse than that. It's worse than that.
I'm just saying, I'm not sure if that's yeah, it's just adding a lot more complexity. I feel it's not compared to if we just create those for them, then because they supposedly they just want to have a voting group snapshot, right? They want to create that one, then everything else.
So I'm not worried about the case where the end user picks a name that was already used, because like that we could just straightforwardly fail.
But then we would have to keep retrying, right? So then it's like you just keep retrying.
Well, yeah. I was thinking through the implementation of how would you fail? Like even if we wanted to say, okay, they've done something invalid, let's give up. This is going to have to be an iterative process where the controller is going to have to go through and establish a bunch of snapshots for every volume in the group. And if it gets halfway through that process and then it finds one that conflicts, like how does it go back and,
because you don't, that's actually, it's actually pretty I think we'll try to, I mean, of course failure could still happen, but it's hard. If something failed in the middle, we actually have to delete that one, just keep retrying that one. So they will have to go delete the.
Well, hold on.
Either they have just delete the whole thing and then create a new one, or they have to delete the redundant or the same name. So
let me ask this question.
Can be successful.
If a user creates one of these group snapshot objects and say there's no errors and it gets all the way down to the CSI plugin and the request is sent and then the response comes back, what is the ordering of the object creation after a successful snapshot is taken? Like, are the volume snapshot content objects established before the RPC call, or before the gRPC call, or after the gRPC call? And
after. This is like
after.
It's more like static provisioning, kind of semi-static, right? For the individual ones, those are actually static provisioning because you got the ID first. Then you try to create the Kubernetes API objects, trying to bind them.
Okay, I'm just trying to think through, like,
because this one is handled differently.
At what point in the procedure you're going to notice that, oh, somebody picked a name that's already in use by a different thing, and we need a different name. Because I'm thinking you could even have race conditions, right? Like you could check and see.
Yeah, this one actually.
Like, oh yeah, the name looks available.
Actually, yeah, this particular section of the code actually still have a bug that we need to figure out how to properly fix it. This is actually very tricky. Yeah. So I think.
But I'm wondering, like,
yeah,
do we make it less tricky by forcing the user to specify all the names up front?
I think it's actually I think could be worse because we have those snapshot IDs. We have the backends create those first. We'll have them first. Then we create Kubernetes API object. So now if we find out, oh, this name is already taken, then what do I do, right?
So I just had a really wild and crazy idea. What if we actually change the workflow so that the client had to create the volume snapshot objects first, and we created them in such a way that they were.
They become dynamic provisioning, right?
Yeah. So I'm saying, what if we use the dynamic provisioning, but like you flagged them, like this is a group snapshot. So you basically, let's say you got 3 volumes, you want to snapshot them together. You actually create 3 snapshot objects. You tag them with some field that say these are going to be part of a group snapshot.
What do you mean you create 3 snapshot objects? I'm not understanding. What do you need to create?
So I have 3 volumes. I want to group snapshot them. Yeah. I'm proposing like a totally different API. Just this kind of floated into my head, and I wanted to think through the implication. What if you instead of creating 1 group snapshot for the 3 volumes, you actually create 3 individual snapshot objects for the 3 volumes. You tag them with some additional field that says this is going to be part of a group snapshot. So the regular logic of like go snapshot it right now doesn't trigger.
If you're doing this, then you're completely not using the CSI construct that we did, right? You have to go the group. You have to go through the CSI volume group snapshot API to create. I mean,
right. No. So what I'm saying is just from the Kubernetes API side, like, I'm not proposing any changes to the CSI part of this. I'm saying from a Kubernetes API perspective, what if instead of first creating the group snapshot object and having it create a bunch of volume snapshot objects, you forced the client to actually create the individual volume snapshot objects with some field that indicated like, don't snapshot this right now because it's going to be consumed by a group snapshot later. Then the last step was to create the group snapshot object, and it just pointed back to the individual volume snapshots, and the creation of that group snapshot was the thing that triggered the snapshots to all happen.
So the benefit of that model. How do you bind them? I'm not getting how do you bind them? How do you bind this volume snapshot and volume snapshot content? You have 3. I'm not getting that part. So you said you create 3 individual volume snapshots. What about the volume snapshot content? You create some.
Those are currently created by the snapshot controller, right?
Correct, but once you do that, that will trigger the.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is
that's going to trigger the snapshotter to go create individual.
If there's a new field,
it's going to use the individual snapshot APIs, right? So I don't know how you can skip that part if you don't do static provision. That part I'm not getting what you're saying.
Like you would have some new field on the snapshot object that says like group snapshot name, or groups, or this is some additional flag. And then we would have to update the snapshot controller to understand.
So that's already what we're doing. The only difference is we hold off because the place where most you could run into problem is the backend when you create them, right? That takes longer time.
Right.
That's why
Right,
we're
but
doing that first, make sure that goes through before we go mess around with in Kubernetes, right? But you are saying
just
you basically just saying switch the order. You do the other one
well,
first. That's
what I'm trying to work around is the situation where we have a controller that's creating objects in the user's namespace that could potentially conflict with other objects that are there. And I was thinking if we change it around such that the controllers didn't create any objects in the user's namespace and we force the user to create them all, like then we eliminate that problem. But then the new problem is, okay, now you need to be able to create the volume snapshot objects in such a way that they don't trigger a snapshot to happen until later. So you would go around and create all the individual volume snapshot objects, and then the trigger would be
we do already have those logic. It's not going to trigger that individual snapshot to be created. So that is already in place, right? Because even though right now we create a snapshot ahead of time, I mean, create the volume group snapshot ahead of time on the back end, then we create the volume snapshot contents in Kubernetes. There could be race, right? So there's no guarantee this definitely will happen first. We already have that logic, whatever you say. We just do the volume snapshot creation later to make sure, we actually make sure that it returns, CSS returns with all the individual snapshot IDs before we even attempt, so that we just try minimize the possibility of some problems, right?
Because, okay, but then. So then after you have,
but then I mean, let's see, right? How important are those names? I mean, I'm not getting it, right? So unless there's someone really like that's really absolutely important, you have to do this one. I think it's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible because we already have the logic there that it's the snapshotter is not going to create individual snapshot because it's part of the group. That logic is already there in place.
Okay, I'm just brainstorming and trying to think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a cleaner way?
It's going to be getting more problems then. That's
right.
The reason is just that I think it's the place that could happen, that could fail more is really the big back end when they are trying to create those things. Yeah. So
I would hope that like a correctly configured device isn't going to fail to take snapshots. Obviously, there's lots of configuration problems that could result in snapshots not being successful, but those are never going to be successful, right? If the reason it's failing is a configuration problem, if you retry it again, you're going to hit the same configuration problem over and over again. I think actual flakiness, where it works sometimes and not others, should be very rare. I think. But yeah.
I don't know.
We have to balance.
I have not found enough reason for me to say do this first.
No.
I know what you're. I see what you're trying to. You're trying to solve this other problem, right? I don't know if it's better or not.
Well, let's move on then.
Okay. All right. So right now the plan is just to go ahead, try this approach to solve this pairing problem, basically. So this is, of course, we'll still need to get reviews. So if you have other ideas, we can definitely still look at this again.
Wait, the review is of the Kubernetes change?
Yeah, it's going to be in external snapshotter, right? All of this change.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll pin you when those are out.
Okay. And is the API change going to be like part of the same change? Because like that's the part
it's going to be reviewed. So we are going to submit separate PRs. So the API change will be in one PR, and then the other PR will be kind of on top of it.
Yeah. Okay.
But you will be able to. You will see both, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Not hiding the other one. Will be easier but actually it's not that hard, right? You just look at one commit, then you can look at the.
Well, I think we should look at the API change and like approve it, so we don't spend a bunch of time implementing an API change and then later deciding like we actually don't like the API change.
Yeah. But we want to submit the whole thing because we also want to make sure it works, right? That's why we still want to
the
whole thing and then submit it, right? Yeah, but the API changes one is going to be a separate PR. Yeah. So that'll be easier to review. Okay. Okay. So coming back to this, I just want to because there will be a PR out soon, so I want to talk about this one first. And then I know last time we have representation from Trey, the NetApp voting replication. So I added this one. So Tom, I see that you were there. I added this one. This is from this a couple years ago, and they have this presentation. And what they are doing is different. I think I was actually looking at. They actually have slides, right? So I put the slides in the link. And then they have this. They actually have this slides they presented at KubeCon some time ago. So they did talk about how does this one work? Or is this one's stale now? Looks like no, it still works. Yeah, so they talked about how they did. Looks like what happens is they have this two sides, east and west, and then sort of create this volume replication, and then this volume replication will have a PVC as the data source. That's the primary side, I believe. So that shows whether this is a primary side or secondary side. This is the primary side, and then they're going to create another. Yeah, so there's this volume replication class, and then it's creating another volume replication. Create this other volume replication on the remote side, right? And then it does this. I think when you do a failover, yeah. So this part I'm a little confused. Oh, okay. When you do a fail, so does that mean this was not created earlier? Sounds like it. But then how does the replication happen? Oh, probably because of the class, the volume replication class, it will always doing this replication. So, and then, yeah, so it's going to do the failover, and then when it fails back, it's going to kind of change it back. So when it fails over, then this one become primary, and then do you failover, you fail back, then the left-hand side becomes primary again. I remember they also have some CSI spec changes that work together with this. Probably the volume replication will have those. The volume replication class will have those information here, I believe. So there's says some information.
Who is this from?
Oh, this is from Red Hat. Oh, so IBM.
Ah, okay, Red Hat.
Yeah, I think they have this. I believe they probably have this one somewhere in GitHub. I don't know if he have this listed in the document. Probably somewhere in the document probably have that.
Do you know which of the storage backends from Red Hat actually implemented this?
Ceph.
It was the Ceph driver that actually does this. Okay.
I think so.
Okay, because Red Hat has a couple different storage products that I know about.
This is definitely from the Ceph side.
Okay.
Because they actually have I don't know where somewhere it just mentions that. Yeah, it's been a while, so I don't remember the details. What is this? Oh, that's okay. They're also talking about the higher level thing. This is a higher level DR policy, right? And the demo.
Yeah, my recollection is they had a lot of they put a lot of thought into like where the replicas
Oh,
are
here,
going and scheduling the replicas.
see here, it says stuff.
Yeah.
So they probably, it maybe, I believe they already implemented it. Yeah, I think so. So they already have, so see this CSI extension, let's see, is it, oh yeah, here, the CSI extension. So it looks like they're still releasing it. Oh no, this is a year ago, okay. Yeah, but they do have this, and then, oh, we just come back to here, to the very beginning, right? Going back here, yeah, so those, Sean was the person who gave this presentation at that time. So this is, okay, is this more, Tom, is this more like your presentation? Because this also has a CSS spec change, because the NetApps does not have the CSS spec change, right?
Probably
Well,
it
then-
is, but I need to look at it, so I
Okay.
will do that. I wasn't aware of it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I couldn't
so
tell
functionally,
this.
this and the NAV implementation are not that different. I
Hmm.
think the main difference is here they just decided to break out the parts of the implementation that touch the Kubernetes API into brand new sidecars that communicate with the rest of the implementation through new CSI RPCs. NetApp just decided to keep all that internal and have the driver itself talk directly to the Kubernetes API and not expose the guts to some RPC, gRPC interface.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, so this
Right.
is their, yeah, this is their volume replication class. Conditional parameters. So I guess things are all under the what is under parameters? I'm not seeing. Oh, so okay. So this is all opaque. Okay, so basically everything is opaque, right? It's like
Yeah.
so we don't know. I think, Tom, in your case, you have some first class thing in here, right? There are some parameters that are first class, isn't it? Or everything on the parameters? I forgot.
Everything's in the parameters.
Oh, the same. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's very
This
similar.
is the problem when you're trying to do like replication through one of these
So we can also
APIs
do
is
the,
you very quickly find stuff that has to be opaque.
So we can also do parameters. So everyone have the parameters. Okay. And then let's see. What is this?
Well, I think it's a reasonable question to ask if we could undo the opaqueness. That is, find a set of standard parameters. I sort of hinted at that in my presentation. There are certain things that you always know, like the type of replication and the number of replicas. And I mean, we could noodle on that, but
so this is in the
yeah, this sounds pretty similar.
Similar, okay.
To what we do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I agree that you'd probably find some things that you could factor out and make totally common across implementations. You're never going to be able to eliminate the opaque channel. Yeah, there won't be a driver that can function without any opaque parameters. And so at that point, it's like, well, they're probably just going to override whatever those common things you specified were anyways. And at that point, have you really established a standard that anyone's adhering to?
Right.
Or just everything is still all hidden. Okay. So where is the, okay, I'm just trying to find this again. CSI. Replication. What is, so this is all the replication RPCs. Enable replication, disable. Oh, I actually, one thing I want to ask, No, does it make sense? Let's say if we want to do this, does it make sense? We just do a replication group rather than start with volume replication. Then you know what I'm saying? Is it even necessary to do this first and then do the group replication? Because I think that might save us some how to say, if we can just do the group, then we don't have to also do this one. It's just
well, so if a user wants to replicate one volume,
and we
you
just put
would
that in a group.
propose
Yeah. If
that
someone
have
does
to
not
put it in
support,
a group.
yeah, if you don't support, then you just put that in a group, then it should be fine.
Yeah, we would be
and-
okay with that because, well, generally, I mean, the group is also in our instance, the link that's controlling the replication. So that's where the actions and stuff appear.
Mhm.
Yeah, where you run into trouble with groups is that the moment you formally represent the group, you have to determine like what are you allowed to do to that group? Like, can you add members to it after the fact? Can you remove members? Can you take two groups and merge them together? Like there's a bunch of like, weird corner cases that start to pop out when you're saying, you know, this is the list of members in the group. You have to be very specific about what mutation operations are allowed on a group that exists.
Agreed.
And people will argue over it. Like you'll pick, you know, this is what the rules are, and someone will be like, "Well, I my system doesn't work that way. I want to do it. I want to be able to add things to an existing group." And you say, "Oh no, we can't allow that." So,
Yeah, well, if we make that decision, we have to decide what to do with that, right? So does that mean if someone?
So the benefit of not doing groups and just saying we're going to start with per volume replication is you get to sidestep all those arguments and just focus on the replication bit of it.
Yeah, I just feel it takes a pretty long time to get anything. If we just go directly to groups, then we get two things that done at one time rather than, you know how long it takes. Let's say if we can get, it's going to take, I don't know how many releases, right? So it would be good to just go directly to groups.
We have some replication that wouldn't necessarily require groups, like say an NFS file system.
Right, that's okay, right? If that's the case, then you know that we can say those are optional if you basically the driver decide whether it's supported or not supported. Right. So if it's not supported, then that's not allowed. Something like that.
Right, but if the API is group oriented,
the case, basically you just cannot add anything to that group anymore, right? So you just do it once, then you can just like add in.
But what if somebody wanted to create a group of two things that were not groupable, like NFS file systems? Like, would you just say no, you can't do that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. If this add to group thing itself is optional, right? Basically, the CSI driver, whoever implements this, will decide if this is allowed or not allowed, right?
Yeah, but that means that no one's going to build software on top of that API because they won't know what they can and can't do in any given system, right? The problem with saying sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't is that no one can write an API that relies on it always working.
Right.
If we want an API to be consumed by actual users, you have to make it always give you the desired result and not be up to the whims of the implementation.
Right, but you know that in CSS spec there's only really 2 RPCs that are truly required, right? Do you know that, right? Only 2.
Yeah. But I mean, like
everything
for something like
optional.
For something like a snapshot,
create volume is optional.
Yeah, it's Node publish and node unpublish? Are those the right two?
Node, yes, only node publish and node unpublish. Yeah, only mount and unmount that's required. Everything else is optional. So we're starting from there. So
but you want to have coarse grain capabilities. Like either you could do all of these things or you can't. Like for snapshots, we have one big capability that says like this driver can do snapshots.
That actually
if you have the capability,
there's actually some problem.
You have to do snapshots exactly the way the implementation says, and there's no opportunities to say, well, I don't do that kind of snapshot, or no, it's just like snapshots are what they are.
Snapshot, yeah. No, I'm just saying,
take it or leave
even
it.
snapshot knows actually, I think we made a mistake by combining the create volume from snapshot along with everything else. We make that just one capability because I found out later, which is some driver actually. They don't support create volume from snapshot, but they support just create snapshot. Yeah, but I'm just saying, right?
Yeah, but if you think about it, like that's exactly what we want to prevent, right? As a standards body, our job is to create stuff that's actually useful. And if you can create snapshots, but you can't do anything with those snapshots through the API that we present.
Oh, they could use those. They could still use it. So what I was also puzzled. Then I said, hey, that was actually SFFS. I think now they can do it, but back then they actually could not. So then was how do you consume it? I was completely confused. They're saying, yeah, basically what the user would do is they just they mount that snapshot. They will just pick individual files. They're not really create a volume from it. Actually, I did not in this case. Yeah.
So like I think that's a horrible experience, and I think that we have to represent the interests of the API users as well as the API implementers, and like we want to make an API that people will actually be able to consume in a reasonable way. So like APIs where like various portions of the API are optional are nightmares to consume. So if we propose something, we should make it very rigid and strict and not have a bunch of fancy, this you can do this but not this or this but not that, because
so then we just go directly to replication group, not the one replication. We can add that later. Would that be the wrong order?
I think that'll create different problems.
Different problems? You either support it or don't support it, right? Yeah, different problems.
We would have to define up front what types of group mutability were allowed by the API, and then force everyone to either support that or not support it. And
as Tom was saying, it's really we can only do one thing at a time, right? So, but I would like to do group first. Then just say,
I think group first to make sense to me. The hard thing to do is going to be not so much can you add or remove volumes from the group, at least for us, that's not too hard.
Can you add, but you will be able to, if you support a group, you will be able to add, right? Otherwise, what do you mean? You just everything, you just lump everything together. You don't have the ability to, you don't have the ability to remove.
No, you can remove, but
what is the problem?
I think the hard thing is going to be what operations are supported.
Replication we're talking about. What are the other? So you enable
failover, failback, reprotect. Can you take a snapshot at the remote or a set of snapshots at the remote end with a group, which is a very handy feature to be able to do. Can you pause the replication and restart it? Those kinds of things, I think, in my mind at least, seem maybe harder to agree on because all our arrays don't necessarily even agree.
Even within one company, you can't get this thing straight. So doing it across an industry seems even harder. I'm not very optimistic about actually solving this problem. I mean, I will try to help, but I just see a bunch of conflicting requirements that make it such that any API we develop is going to disappoint somebody. And we just have to do a time check too. We're at the top of the hour.
Yeah. I think we're done. Yeah. Okay.
Did you cover what you wanted to cover?
Oh, yeah. This one actually, I
Okay.
was not sure if we have time. I just thought last time we went through NetApps, and this time we just let's review this one again. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that's it for today then.
Okay, I'll go
Thanks,
read about Ceph. Just it'll be
Okay.
interesting, just for curiosity.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.